Great. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar. I hope you have had lunch or lunch is in front of you. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar for Investing for Good, co-organized by FundedHere and Futu Singapore. I think from what I heard, there's over 70 of you. So all of us are really, really encouraged by your interest in this topic. So we'll start off with some house rules. If there are any questions, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. So please add your questions in and we'll take them later. It'll be really helpful to us also if you can state your name and your organization. And you can also type into the chat if that is easier for you. Okay? So this is a safe space. We're all here to learn. Please don't take any recordings. We'll share some key takeaway points with all attendees after the event. And yes, so without further ado, we'll kick off with a round of introductions. We'll get into the meat, the themes of our topic today and end off with Q&A. So very quickly, I am Rebecca. Very nice to meet you. I'm here representing both FundedHere and Tembusu partners, and I work on both the marketing and investor relations team. So FundedHere is Singapore's first MES licensed equity and debt crowdfunding platform headquartered in Singapore, and we focus primarily on raising funds via crowdfunding for post-seed to sort of Series A startups. While our strength lies in syndication, we also recently started our own fund, the Aspiration Fund, and we remain dedicated to helping startups achieve their goals. So FundedHere is really proud to co-host this with FUTU. So I'm really excited to introduce our speakers today. Our first speaker is Gavin. Gavin and I met years ago when we were both in university. But yeah, I'll leave Gavin to just introduce himself. Gavin, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gavin over here. And I got to say, I have been in this industry for the past 15 years. Especially on the brokerage space. And I'm currently the MD of FUTU Singapore, and I'm leading the team in Singapore to grow FUTU Footprint with our technological-driven moomoo investing platform. So just to share a little bit more about FUTU Singapore, FUTU Singapore is a CMS license holder regulated by MES. Right now, currently overall, we are a fast-growing brokerage platform with over 1.5 million users across the globe. And being Nasdaq listed and 10% back, FUTU launched its one-stop trading platform, moomoo, in Singapore early this March. To be exact, it should be 8th of March this year. And for FUTU, we believe in making investing easier and more accessible, and that no one should feel alone or overwhelmed in their investment journey. So to this end, FUTU has included features aimed at upgrading knowledge.
Recording in progress.
Such as real-time free market data, free tutorials, free live company broadcasts, customizable tools, and for an easy-to-use platform designated for all levels of users. So, just a little bit of statistics after the launch of our apps on 8th of March, just in a matter of 3 months, moomoo apps has racked up over 220,000 users, including hundreds of thousands of paying clients. Yeah, back to you.
Wow, thank you so much. And I must say that I'm one of those new clients because my friend introduced moomoo to me, and I've been very excited. I got my Tesla shares, and I'm very excited because it did well yesterday. So monitoring.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gavin. Really, really excited that you're here to join us today. Next, we have Megan. Megan is the Director of Partnerships and Head of Events at Eco-Business. Megan, over to you.
Thanks, Bex, and also thanks for having me here today. Very excited to learn from everyone. So as Bex says, I'm the Director of Partnerships for Eco-Business, which is a media and business intelligence platform, for all things ESG, performance and sustainability development as well. So, sorry, my dog. I'm so sorry about that. Just ignore that for 2 minutes. So I guess on top of publishing high quality trusted news in various multimedia formats, we also provide research consulting training services to our partners to provide strategic value for the businesses, and also we own and create thought leadership platforms as well to really convene thought leaders from all across the fields, various industry and sectors as well, to come together to collaborate on actionable kind of initiatives that they can take towards building a better future for everyone. I think I'm going to pass it back to you, Bex, to let my dog out as well.
No, we're very happy to welcome friends, family, pets. Everyone is welcome to join us. Thank you so much, Megan. Next, we'll go on to Huiju. Huiju, thank you so much for joining us. Huiju is the Senior Director of Sustainability at UOB Asset Management, and they're also doing really, really exciting stuff in this field. So I'll hand it over to you, Huiju, to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Bex. Very good afternoon to everyone here. I'm Piju from UOB Asset Management. Currently, I'm actually sitting within the sustainability team in UOB Asset Management, largely focused on managing the sustainable investment. So some backgrounds on myself, I have been about more than 20 years of experience here in investment, largely in the Asia fixed income field. So with the efforts by UOBAM, I have actually been pulled in to help out with the sustainability efforts that we are going to push up here, more on the fixed income side. So together with my team, we have about 6 to 7 people that sits in Singapore, but regionally we added up, probably we have like about 20 people that actually looks at sustainability across the region and as well as in Singapore. So coming back to the topic on sustainability, I think sustainability has really been a big thing in other than across the nation in UOB asset management as well. We have actually integrated sustainability into UOBM DNA. So from inside out, what we talk about inside out. So within our firm itself, we do even staff education. We do integrating all this sustainability, how we do our investment process, how we buy a stock, how we buy a bonds, and etc. And even in terms of the governance side, putting in like the risk framework that's supposed to come in for sustainability, how do we measure climate risk, etc. So here and in terms of out, we also actually speak with a lot of our clients, giving them the advice, holding webinars like similarly to some kind of like this seminar itself, more in terms of educating the public itself and also bringing out the sustainability solutions for our actually investors out there. Yeah. So here at UOBAM, we actually aim to cultivate a sustainability first mindset where our staff actually act in the present with thinking of the future. Yeah. So this is in short. Yeah. Back to you, Bex.
Thank you very much, Richu. That was really interesting. Would love to hear more about you sharing about how you guys have integrated it into the investment strategy. We'll talk more about that later. So I think moving on to the meat of the subject. So at FundedHere, we also see a trend of investors, who are looking more at investments with a strong social mission. So we've seen campaigns with an ESG focus get filled within 2 to 3 days. We've also been speaking to our investors, and given the state of the world, we realize that young investors sometimes feel a sense of helplessness, and there's a desire to do some good, with whatever they can, right, wherever they can with their investments in any form. So for those new to this topic, so I think impact investing, unfortunately, has become a bit of a buzzword. And I think the term also has been butchered or used as a marketing tool in the last couple of years. I think that there was some interest in this topic maybe as early as 2010, 2011, and even earlier across the world. But I think in Singapore, it was still quite a new way of investing. So there was a lot of skepticism about whether it would work. I think what the main part of it is that it doesn't mean that it's only about impact, even though impact is a very strong focus in terms of, sort of the measures and indicators, but it's also making sure that commercially as an investment sort of strategy, it makes sense too. So I mean, just some basics about ESG investing. This is really just for our for people who are new to this topic. ESG means sort of using environmental, social, and governance factors to evaluate companies and countries as well, and how far advanced they are with sustainability. So once enough data has been acquired on these 3 metrics, they can then be integrated into the investment process. So really, it is a set of standards that socially conscious investors use to screen potential investments. Environmental criteria usually considers how a company performs as a steward of nature. Social criteria usually examines how it manages relationships with employees, suppliers, customers, and the communities where it operates. And governance usually deals with the company's leadership, executive pay, audits, internal controls, shareholder rights, and all that. But yes, on to our panelists, because I think they have a lot to share, and I don't want to keep talking. So I shared briefly about how investors at FundedHere and Tembusu are looking at this space. Gavin, we are really interested, in understanding the behaviors and preferences of the next gen investor. Could you maybe share some, sort of your perspectives from where you're looking at from Moomoo's perspective?
Yeah, sure, Rebecca. I mean, I will share a little bit of statistics, and of course, like what you had shared perspective. Generally, I mean, if you look at our client base over in FUTU Singapore, close to 80% of the users are aged between 18 to 41. So generally, we can call them the millennials or the Gen Zers. They, when we talk to them, when we held surveys, generally they want investing to be made easily digestible, less dry, For even some of them wanted to have, incorporate a social element. And one thing for sure, they are constantly hungry for tools and resources to help them level up, which I got to say is moomoo on our side has incorporated features and tech that caters to their needs. When I use the word level up, generally I always think of computer games. So how I look at it is, I believe even some of especially the younger groups of people, they may be bringing such a perspective over, but it's all good fun. But I'll just share a little bit more. Of course, with this pandemic, we are also seeing more and more clients are actually exploring the digital space to invest. More people are right now currently trading. Generally, for the clients itself, they are always hungry for information, and once they want an all-in-one self-direct trading platform. They are actively attending in-apps investment-related courses, webinar, live stream of listed companies' events, browsing news in a financial world, and analyzing stocks and trend. And the interesting part, over in FUTU, we are all giving out these for free. And just to share a little bit further, we have certain tech features like the stock screener. Clients will be able to filter the stock to suit their investment strategies. Stock compare features, if you want to compare UOB, DBS, OCBC, the 3 local banks, in terms of fundamental values, you can actually activate the stock compare features, and the fundamental results will just be through your click of fingers, and it will all be reflected in a few seconds. Star institutions, I know people will be asking, hey, what's Warren Buffett portfolios? ARK's ETF, which is the in thing in US right now, or even Temasek's portfolio. And we do have it all in just in our moomoo apps itself. AI monitors, if you want to know certain market movement or, capture a little bit of something that is unusual, unusual trading activities, all these, you can just switch on the AI monitors and they will be able to help you to detect from there. Just to even for those, for clients who may be very new due to their age or they are very new to trading, we do have a list of free courses in our moomoo apps. For example, how to interpret financial statements, stock basics, introductions to options, ETF strategies, and we can have one for ESG maybe. I mean, generally on average, they are viewed at least 8,000 times. And the highest was 79,000 times to date. So some statistics, interestingly, we are seeing the Gen Zers, they are more actively in trading than the millennial investors. So the former groups is more engaged and has more average daily logins, browsers, and save more stocks to their watch list. And of course, they trade more frequently over here. So just a little bit more over here in terms of what we observe also. I mean, in terms of the Gen Zers and the millennials, they practice social sharing. It has extended all the way to the investment world. So I think certain things like Reddit, people will be very familiar. So our real-time chat forums, which we call it the moomoo community. We are it's always constantly active, bustling with new messages daily. So Gen Zers and many clients in particular, they are sharing their stock performance. Some even offer to help each other in terms of understanding certain various financial terms and strategies better. Very different from my parents' time, because if there's anything they are not sure, surely they will only call their remisers. So we see people who does not, they do not even know each other, and they come in and they start to help each other. So this engaging in-app social community, I got to say, this experience is unlike in any other provider on a digital trading platform. And of course, it has further contributed to moomoo's popularity among Singapore investors who are actively participating in it. So just, a little bit more observation over here. Many of them, they want investing to be made easier, more rewarding, and more fun to learn. And what we did was we ran the Learn and Earn quiz campaign that ended in August 2021, and we saw over 70,000 unique participants. And interestingly, these 70,000 unique participants, they make over close to 1.9 million attempts, with each participant averaging 27 tries. And participants receive cash coupons for in terms of amount of each correct answers. So, and to make things more fun, these prizes are dispensed to them through a virtual gachapon machines. So, also featuring our moomoo mascot inside. So just to touch on maybe what Rebecca's had shared in terms of social and environmental consciousness in terms of investing. Yes, I mean, if you look at it in Singapore, many studies has pointed to an interest in ESG investing. And, we see that coming in also from the millennial and the Gen Zers, and who are actually the driving force, behind this conscious investment move. So, studies has also revealed that many acknowledge their parts in doing good and making the world a better place. And correspondingly, their allocation of sustainable investment in portfolios. But, like what Rebecca has shared, various studies has also indicated that while there is a growing interest in ESG investing, most investors, regardless of whether they are young or whether they are old, they don't yet have a clear picture of how they can navigate in the ESG landscape. So I got to say there's a knowledge gap, which I got to say is all of us, we can plug in today.
Cool. Thanks, Kevin. That was really interesting because I think the points that I picked up was that, younger investors today are hungry for information. They're also looking for an all-in-one platform. They want things to be easy, convenient, and I totally empathize, right? Because I think we are all guilty of being a little bit impatient, right? If it requires us to switch screens already, we're like, too much trouble already, right? So if everything is on one screen, it's just a lot more convenient. I think the other thing that was really interesting is that, investors today are more savvy and they're upskilling themselves, right? So they're learning courses, they know what they're talking about, which is really interesting, and they know what they're looking for also. So I think definitely we see that trend too also on the FundedHere and FUTU side. Huiju, Megan, do you guys have anything to add, or I'll move on to the next question?
Probably let me add on to what Gavin has alluded to. Actually, from our end, we also see certain statistics. Probably let me draw your attention to some statistics that our UOB Bank has actually collected. In 2021, in fact, if you look at the UOB Bank ASEAN Consumer Sentiment Study, it was reported that 9 in 10 Singaporeans believe sustainable investing will actually become more common over the next 3 to 5 years. And of this, those being surveyed, actually 13% already have sustainable investment within their portfolios. So really the awareness and people are putting this awareness into actions are actually coming and taking place now. And 90% have actually expressed the interest, being very keen to find out more. So actually, I do totally agree with Gavin. So with the investors and clients growing increasingly aware of all these benefits, compounded with also not forgetting the top-down push from governments, regulators, as well as some of the big institutions, I think sustainable investing definitely is the future for new generation investors.
I think I'll just add on here. You guys have been really good with the statistics. Sorry, I shall not go on that. But I guess coming from that millennial point of view, I think I'm considered millennial. So I think what you guys have said is perfectly absolutely right. We're all wrestling with the impact of global issues such as growing inequality, climate change, sustainability, and I think a recent survey that I read from WEF, I think, found that the millennial generation view climate change and destruction of nature as the most critical issue they face in their lifetime. So, and us being the ones that will be most impacted by climate change and your social inequalities, they have the most at stake in this need to change the status quo as well, which is why you see this move towards ESG investing, impact investing by millennials. But I think also on that front, as I think Gavin has pointed out, there is a knowledge gap there between the people who know what's going on behind the scenes in terms of your ESG, your criteria. I'm sure you're going to touch on that later in terms of your investment products. What's out there, what's available, what's accessible. I think all that is still missing quite a bit of. We still have a lot of ground to catch up on that in order to bridge that gap between, your millennials, your retail investors, who are just coming onto the scene, who want to do something, but they don't know what to do. I think right now, that's quite a critical issue that millennials and especially the ones who are just new to investing are facing. So yeah, that's just my little bit.
Thanks, Megan, and thanks, Huiju. Thanks for adding. I think that was a very good perspective from sort of not just from the millennial angle, but also from what you guys are seeing from where you guys sit. So thanks very much. I think the next point that we really wanted to discuss was also sort of, we are living in this sort of, I don't think we're in a post-pandemic world yet, but, we're sort of living with COVID, now, and impact investing or ESG is trending right now, because I think a lot of people also see it as a really big opportunity, right? So they always say that the world's biggest problems are also the world's greatest opportunities, in terms of economic opportunities as well. Maybe Megan, if you could share, sort of just some trends, that you're gathering from the eco-business sphere, and if everybody else has some comments also on what they're seeing in terms of just general feelings and thoughts towards the state of the world, and how that has, kind of shaped this view of, moving into a more sort of impact-related kind of investing. Megan, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Bex. I think, what's interesting is that, ESG investing, impact investing has really started on like about a decade ago, but it's only recently that it started to increase very steadily and also increase exponentially as well. And especially off the back of the COVID-19 pandemic, that really has turned a spotlight into its importance, in showing us how high impact events will disrupt the supply chain and undermining the traditional models of business as well. So I guess, with the pandemic, massively exposing unexpected risks the investors want to avoid, this also probably pushed them to take a lot of different kinds of actions, which includes, scrutinizing companies' ESG performance and how they approach, ESG risks as well. So with that, organizations and corporates are using this opportunity, this post-pandemic phase, to realign and then shift their focus towards a different kind of policy, one that takes into account your environment, your social and governance factors, or ESG factors. But I guess, what's interesting is that, most of us, I'm sure most of us do care about ESG issues, and this is really not about going along with, changing social conventions, but we are also recognizing as well that this is just good financial policy. So I guess, with this movement towards ESG investing, impact investments as well, this, really just brings forward what was happening from way long ago, which was that socially responsible investment movement, but applies financial rather than moral relevance to the model. So, just very fundamentally, I think quite taking this whole post-pandemic, or rather this pandemic that's happened, really takes us back to the fundamentals, really takes us back to our common sense, that, a business that has got, your net zero, your climate neutral goals, is diversifying their supply chain, has good diversity and inclusion hiring policies, is basically a safer investment than one that isn't. So, investors recognize that there's a transition underway from a very outdated, economic model to a more sustainable one. And that, when investing in this new economic model, there should be some measurable positive outcomes beyond just financial performance. And in light of that, we are also, we as coming like investors, are coming to recognize not only the power that we hold, but also the responsibility that we have. And with this, comes to an awareness of the social and environmental impact of our investment choices. So yeah, because what's happening, what is still happening, what investors now value is changing, or rather is being more enlightened. And with this, organizations are just realizing that it's a perfect opportunity now to just rewire, to step back, and to start to adopt smarter and safer processes that contribute to business resilience, to longevity as well. So I think that in a nutshell is what's happening, taking today's crisis, or rather crisis that's been happening for a long time, if you take, the whole climate change that's going on, and then COVID-19 capping that off, and just seeing what, we can all learn from the crisis that's happened, and using that to take into, I guess, a brighter future ahead for all of us.
Cool, thanks, Megan. I think that's really interesting because, and I know we didn't discuss this in our panel discussion prep, earlier, but I think that there has also been an impact on hiring, right? Because a lot of millennials on next gens being so concerned about the state of the world, they but they would prefer to work for companies that are more either ESG focused, or have some sort of investment mandate that really is aligned to what they personally are investing into as well. Is that something that you guys are seeing, in UOB, whether it's UOB or moomoo, or even in the eco-business sphere? Is that something that you guys are seeing as a trend as well?
I think probably I can add something here. I think from the asset management point of view, of course, definitely other than the hiring, sitting in the sustainability teams, definitely we are seeing more and more CVs also coming our way, wanting to join and be part of this sustainability journey that we embark on. I think other than that, I think in terms of the investors' attitudes that we see towards sustainability and sustainable investment in Asia, it has actually changed drastically. I think back in 2012, there was virtually no sustainable investing market in Asia. People were actually very keen on doing some sustainability investment. They actually had to look to Europe, because we all know that Europe was one of the leading players in the market. But markets were actually much more developed. However, I think recently we do notice that there has actually been growing recognition of sustainability in Asia as a priority. In fact, there is a lot of efforts even from the top down. We have seen the governments doing coming out with net zero targets, net zero carbon emission targets from even Japan, South Korea, China. It is actually mentioned across all the nations' agenda. So the top-down commitments has actually driven the war of money globally towards embracing ESG and sustainability. The push from the government regulators has actually catalyzed the adoption of sustainability practices by many Western and Asian companies who have realized that sustainable investing also drives long-term financial performance. So what I really like to reiterate is that sustainable investment also drives long-term financial performance. So there is actually really evidence that's showing that if you invest in a company who actually looks forward, who actually are very focused on sustainable investment, they will have a sustainable business and the performance will be good on the long term. So while simultaneously also creating this, the investors will also be creating this positive impact on the environment and also on the society itself. So really, I think we are actually seeing really much more recognition of sustainability in Asia. The top-down effort, like just now I have mentioned, the heightened regulatory disclosure requirements. Like for recently, we have MES coming out with the environmental risk management framework, and also the increasing investors' interest. Actually, all this has actually come together. So we are really at the beginning of this growth market, which has actually much more potential to come. Yeah, over to you. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Viju. I think you're right. And later we have a question where someone was asking, sort of what's the difference between impact investing, SRI, and sort of ESG, which we'll sort of tackle later. But I think there is also that sort of ambiguity where people are like, okay, what's the difference, right? Because I know some of them, there's some companies or some entrepreneurs who have started, implementing responsible business practices, right? So they look at what they're investing into also, and then they're either divesting or getting out of it, or, they are looking within the company, sort of with their own policies and trying to understand sort of how to be a bit more sort of ESG aligned. But yeah, I think maybe we move on to the third point, which is, integrating ESG concepts in investment. We briefly spoke about, what ESG is, and I think Viju, you mentioned a little bit about how UOB has really, made a commitment to be focused on sustainability and to really sort of integrate everything together. Could you maybe just share a little bit more about how that is being done, and also just any other viewpoints? Yeah.
Yep, sure. Thank you, Rebecca. So I think if I may refer you to the recent articles published by the Sunday Times, they actually mentioned that the approach of incorporating ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance factors into investment decision, was actually previously seen more like a niche strategy for somebody who wanted to be different from the mainstream. But now it is already the mainstream. In today's landscape, in fact, ESG investing is already complementing traditional fundamentals principles in selecting companies and securities that are of a higher quality and allows investors to achieve their objective of investing in profits for purpose. So ESG, which most of us knows that stands for environmental, social, and governance, summarize a variety of factors that are financially material to businesses, such as I think you have here climate change. Like just now, Megan also mentioned about the employee treatment, board accountability, etc. I think to put it simply, the consideration of the ESG factors when you choose a company is what we term as ESG investing. But I mean, things are not as simple. I mean, this is not just ESG investing is not as simple as it may sound. One of the few challenges that investors face when we were doing all this, when getting started, is really analyzing and navigating the ESG score, which not only provides a metrics for sustainability, but also reflect the resilience and preparedness of a company. So this is often being confused due to the numerous ESG rating providers. You have various providers coming out with really very different methodology in assessing ESG quality of companies. So unlike, I came from the credit background, I have more than 20 years of experience doing credit, Asian credit. So unlike the credit fundamental space, whereby I think credit rating agencies, which we all know, Moody's, S&P, and Fitch, those were the typical highly regarded ones. But in ESG, sustainable investing rating-wise, there is no, at current, there's still no equivalent ESG rating agencies that can command such kind of standing, whereby investors can actually look towards to when they want to look at certain companies in terms of the ESG rating. So that will be one issue. The other issue that is especially significant in Asia is also the gap in data coverage, especially for the emerging and the frontier markets. Because we know that the developed markets, they started fast, they started many years back. And a lot of processes, database has actually been put in place. Even the companies are actually, I would say, educated or accustomed to provide certain sets of information. But in Asia, we are new, we are just starting. So a lot of companies may not actually have the requisite resources or even the awareness to fully provide such ESG-related data that the ESG rating agency, rating providers actually need from them. And these rating providers themselves, typically, if you talk about MSCI, etc., they were more the developed countries. They themselves do not find actually sufficient incentive to provide this extensive coverage over these smaller markets. So as such, I think as UOB AM, we wanted, our vision is to be a trusted asset manager in both innovation as well as sustainability. We think we feel the need to actually come in and help to close this gap, and also provide these reliable sustainability solutions for our clients. So to walk the talk and coupling with the significant growing demands for ESG centric products, we are pleased to, in fact, we are really very pleased to announce that we have recently launched our new fund, United Smart Sustainable Singapore Bond Fund. That was just really hot from the oven just a week ago. I think over the past few months, we have seen nations be fastening their pace to drive sustainability as more climate and social issues surface across the globe. So in Singapore, we saw a big move by the Singapore government driving towards this building a sustainable future for a generation to come. And in the recent Singapore Green Plan 2030, there was actually many focus areas being highlighted with target sets and actions to be taken. So as such, we recognize there's a need for us to deliver solutions that allows our investors to actually invest smartly for a sustainable Singapore. So going back to this fund that we have, this one has actually focused its investment team revolving around the Singapore goals and plans. So we narrowed down into 3 core sustainable investment teams that is actually mapped to the development in Singapore. So firstly, preparing for climate change. Secondly, green, clean and smart Singapore. And lastly, sustainable production. I think if we can meet all these 3, we will really be helping Singapore to really move toward the sustainable futures for our next generation. So to summarize in just 3 points, this fund itself is first of its kind, made in Singapore by the local homegrown fund manager, UOB Asset Management, with a proprietary ESG focus. So in fact, we have our own proprietary way of looking at things. We have our framework, sustainability framework, and the methodology in looking at every single company itself, giving them a rating. So with this, this fund will actually also support the nation call for sustainability. The bonds within this fund itself is a high quality portfolio with stringent ESG, which means that there is certain ESG quality threshold that you need to meet. And there's also risk management filters that's actually put in, providing a sustainable income on a regular basis. And also lastly, the third point, I think these funds will give retail investors not only the opportunity to be one of the first to participate in the sustainable finance market, but also invest in this impact strategy Just now, Rebecca was talking about this. What's the difference between the impact and the normal sustainable investment? So this is an impact strategy. So we are actually moving a bit further down into sustainable investment. So these are the 3 points for the fund itself. Maybe I can also go on a little bit more to talk about our ESG scoring methodology in UOB-AM. Like I mentioned, it was a proprietary scoring model employed by various investment professions across the investment team and regional office. UOB-AM, we have really quite a few regional offices across the Asia. We have a focus on ASEAN, we have Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, etc. So to us, this is one of the niche that we have. And we want to leverage on our regional footprint and local expertise to enhance our ESG analysis. And we have investment team that sits close to the ground across the region and thus are able to continue with their local expertise. So like the rating agencies, the ESG data providers, some they probably may not be able to reach out to all. But with us, which is already having the local expertise that sits on the ground, close to the companies, we are able to speak directly to companies and get the information that we wanted. So this is this gap that UOB-AM actually can play here. So nonetheless, of course, we still do consider third-party data, but we value add with our independent UOB-AM ESG analysis and research. We are able to capitalize the key features of all these 3 parties' data sources. Definitely, they have started way before us. There are lessons that we have to actually learn from them in terms of looking at ESG. So with this, I think it complement each other and give us a better ESG score. So building on all this data itself, I think we also leverage on our AI/ML model. So in our ESG scoring framework itself, we do also put in the innovation part that we have here. Being able to monitor and screen controversy news, most importantly, it enabled us to not only extract every single possible controversy news on a daily basis, but also help us to remove the human emotion involved when reading and analyzing a news piece. I think this is something that I think is very important. Being so many years in the credit market itself, sometimes you as a fund manager will be a little bit more emotionally driven, but bringing in this machine element will actually help you to remove that and also give you an enhanced and a better decision making. So probably lastly, I would just like to clear this one misconception that many investors have. Actually, some investors still hold this misconception that compromise have to be made when investing sustainably. However, research actually conducted by organizations such as the CFA Institute have actually shown that strong ESG companies achieve better financial performance than those who place little or no emphasis on ESG factors. So the positive relationship between ESG and performance actually supports the philosophy that sustainable investing in higher quality companies are actually more resilient. They're actually also able to navigate risk as well, and are also better prepared to meet future challenges, like the one that we recently had, the pandemic, the COVID-19. Yeah. So far from compromising on returns, sustainable investing actually allows the investors to invest for both profit and purpose. Yeah. So with this, I think I'll probably leave it.
Yeah, thanks. No, thanks, FUTU. That was really, that was really interesting and very helpful because I think that helps to give us some flavor as to how UOB is doing it. And I think UOB being sort of one of our oldest banks in Singapore, right? We really sort of take lead from what you guys are doing as well. I think similarly also Tembusu Partners also actually partnered with Eco Business to launch the Sustainable Future Fund. And I think aside from the ESG criteria or the impact measurement indicators, which I think are also very important, I think we also make sure that in terms of deal criteria, right, we look at certain things, right? So whether is it tech enabled, does it is it scalable, is it market ready, is there an ecosystem fit, before we also then look at the the impact measurement. Because I think what I also wanted to clarify or to demystify is that impact investing or ESG or a lot of it also has to make economical sense. And I think a lot of people seem to misunderstand this. They're like, oh, impact, okay, all do good, if at most I don't lose my money, that's the best case scenario. I've heard that before, and I'm like, no, it's not like that, so I think we just wanted to kind of demystify that a little bit lah. But actually, maybe because I know that we're running out of time, just looking at the questions, I realized that that there have been quite a few people who have asked about sort of this commingling between the terms impact investing, ESG investing. Is there a distinct difference between the both? And also how does this relate to the whole UN SDG framework? Megan, I think you might be best placed to answer that. Maybe you could give it a shot.
Sure. Let me try to do this. I think for impact investing, I mean, this is really characterized by the direct connection between values-based priorities and use of investors' capital as well. So, these funds not only kind of report on financial performance, but also they try to generate, or rather, the goal is really to generate and quantify a positive societal impact. For example, number of schools built, what kind of reduction of carbon footprint by how many units. And I guess impact investors are able to deploy funds in service of causes that are not directly addressed by the public financial markets as well, such as community development and poverty alleviation as well. In terms of, I think, ESG investing, they focus on companies, making an active effort, to either limit their negative society impact or deliver benefits to society, or both. So I think, with regard to the various ESG reporting standards, SASB, Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, aim to standardize the ways that companies report on ESG criteria to better inform investors, including determining which ESG issues that companies should prioritize based on sector and industry. So an example of an ESG investment would be, buying stock in a technology company that converts, one of its data centers into to use renewable energy that results in a cost benefit as well as a positive impact on the environment as well. So I think that's just the difference between the two. I think the UN SDGs, they are very, very useful kind of ways to categorize investments as well, according to whether it's ESG investment or impact investing. I hope I answered
thanks. That. Yeah, thanks, Megan. I think that was a very good attempt. So thank you very much. But I think for anyone who's interested, not to tell you to Google, because I mean you can definitely find different definitions of what it means. But yeah, it's like what Megan said. It's different steps and how much depth that you want as well in terms of setting out your impact or ESG or SRI sort of investing focus. The next question I actually have is someone texted me this. It's for Gavin actually. So Gavin, this is a friend of mine who uses the moomoo app, and she wanted to know, she was like, how do you identify ESG-related investments or companies on the moomoo app? And do you guys spotlight who these people are? Are there courses or talks or webinars that you guys do aside from this one related to this topic?
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Very good question over here. I mean, of course, on our moomoo investing platform, we have already a few ESG funds available for trading. Of course, for us, we look forward to working with FUTU closely, UOB, AM closely, with everybody closely. It can be from onboarding more funds, or if not, doing more talks. So, in terms of our platforms, our moomoo platforms, we offer regular ESG roundups, market talk series on news covering ESG impact investing. So if you look at it for this month, it's actually the month of ESG. But for us, this will, even after the month itself, we will be putting up a lot of information, or even working with many people or even many firms, just to ramp up in terms of the number of funds and the talks that we have over in our moomoo apps itself. Just to share a little bit further, I did emphasizing about the moomoo community, which is the social forum in our moomoo app. Users of moomoo are also contributing their research insights and other thoughts on ESG investing. So just this month alone, one of our users also did an analysis of an ESG funds and how they are posting strong performance in the past year to share with the rest of the community. So interestingly, his post has generated a high engagement in app. So there's a lot of sharing, there's a lot of questions, and just for this, this person, I mean, we welcome him or her to come into the apps itself. Feel free to share with her, his or her thoughts. I believe there's a lot of professional helps, or even people that is very willingly to contribute with regards to talking a little bit more about ESG.
Thanks, Gavin. I mean, that said also on the moomoo app, someone asked, that FUTU, the fund that FUTU talked about, it's very interesting. Is it available to trade on moomoo?
Yes, I believe, yes, FUTU, we are working together, am I correct? To just get it up on our side.
Yes. We are very excited to bring these solutions to our investors, really. And if it's on the moomoo, I think it will be really a click. Everything is done.
Yes. That's great. Yeah, Huiju, there's another question as well from the moomoo app. So how do you report the impact at a portfolio level to ensure that the money invested in this newly launched impact bond fund doesn't contribute to greenwashing?
Okay, yeah, greenwashing. I think with this rise of greenwashing, right, I understand where the cause for concern has come from. Greenwashing, in fact, if I just give a little bit of background, greenwashing is a process of providing misleading information and impression about how a company is environmentally sound or ESG compliance. There's actually currently no standardized or industry-wide recognized framework of assessing this company's sustainability quality. So it results in a lot of in institutions doing some of the greenwashing, trying to puff up their sustainability positionings. And also, like I just now have mentioned about the lack of information or the incomplete data coverage for the Asian companies as compared to the Western economies, you make this even more challenging for investors to really identify which one is not greenwashing, which one is actually really a sustainability investment. So hence, I think it's important as an asset manager again, and also it's important for the investors to look for a reliable asset manager who has strong sustainability capability and also a robust sustainable investing framework. So one way, maybe an advice to the investor is probably we move a step further into sustainable investing. That means investing in darker green funds. So that will actually give you a little bit more assurance. So when I mean darker green funds, funds which are heavily focused on sustainability with a stated sustainability objective and or with impact measured quantitatively. So that is again the impact strategy that we are talking about here. So in taking our newly launched sustainable bond fund as an example, right, our triple S fund, there will be specific sustainable metrics being measured, other than ensuring every single bond that we invest in will meet at least one of the three core sustainability themes that I just now have mentioned, including the climate change, the clean green, and also as well as the sustainable production. So there is also, for this fund itself, there will also be an impact dashboard, which we will present to our investors on a monthly basis. So investors, you can see for yourself in this impact dashboard itself, there will be 8 matrices that we measure quantitatively. We actually measure it, analyze it, and we need to manage it to ensure that it hits the sustainability objective that we promise to our investors, and we have to deliver. So some of these matrices, like I think Megan has also mentioned a few, that we are measured on a portfolio level will include like carbon emission, carbon intensity. We also measure things like energy intensity, water intensity, waste intensity, and also some of the supply chain kind of controversy as well. Yeah, so these are just some of the matrices that will be actually included in this impact dashboard, which our investors get to see. Yeah.
I'm just going to jump in here because I've been hearing a lot from you and Gavin on the various kind of products that FUTU, moomoo, and UOB Asset Management have, which I think is great. I think we're talking about millennials, we're talking about retail investors, and we know that in order to really increase this growth into a measurable, positive way, we need to increase the accessibility of such ESG impact investments, and this can be done by increasing the number of products, the kind of products that are available for the full spectrum of investors, whether it's your retail, your institutional, your corporates, your high net worth as well. So, and also then to accommodate the capital needs of various types of investees as well. So while the new generation is looking for something that's suitable for them to invest in, they're looking for various types of criteria for what kind of impact they can generate. So I guess in terms of that, I guess I'm going to pose a question to you guys too. How are you making your products accessible to retail investors? How are you making information data accessible to retail investors, and how are you kind of educating them or having your asset management and asset managers educate them about what kind of products are suitable for them and what are available to them?
Yeah, so maybe Huiju, you can answer quickly, and then Gavin, you can chip in as well. And then I will also add in some points from the FundedHere perspective.
Sure. Thanks, Beck. Yeah, so I think when I started this conversation, I talking about UOB integrating sustainability inside out. So like I mentioned, within the whole team itself, UOB team group itself, we are actually educated. Even on the quarterly or monthly basis, we actually took turns to actually hold webinars internally and externally, just for the purpose of educating in terms of sustainability. We think that we have a responsibility to do so, because by providing this education, in turns, will make investors or even our staff understand sustainability and also walk the talk. We don't just talk, you need to walk the talk. So this is very important for UOB. In terms of product-wise, we have actually looked into a few products. I think the United Smart Sustainable Bond Fund is the first product, the retail product that we actually push out to the public itself. Internally, we are already managing some of the sustainability products for some of our Insti clients, as well as some of our regional offices. So moving forward, you will actually see more products coming in the pipeline. We have a lineup of a sustainability series that we are going to push out. Then on working with the counterparts itself or on some platform, FUTU moomoo was one of our very key partners to help us also to bring our products to the investors itself. But as we all know, I mean, UOB we have been a long way in investing, providing solutions to our clients itself. We have from the IFAs to the PBs to the bank branches, etc. So we are now really all on going all the different distribution to really share and hopefully provides really the retail investors a chance to embark on this sustainability journey. I think Singaporeans for Singapore, we hope that really we can do something for the nation and also for the global. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Huiju. Gavin, do you want to just add a point in quickly?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for us, of course, surely, and we really want, to work with UOB and of course, Rebecca and Mika on your side, to do more seminars. I think with this month of ESG, there will be a lot of upcoming seminars. Generally, it's all good sharing, and we want to do more because, for FUTU as an investment platform, we want to accompany clients not only in terms of their short-term portfolios, trading agenda, but also to their long-term, long-term trading investment journey. So for us, surely we will do more talks, and of course, for us, we will need a lot of in terms of guidance or even the expertise that UOB and of course, in terms of Rebecca's on your side. In terms of how we can actually work together and consolidate all these informations and data and share it with all our users, and let it not only be something that from UOB or even Tombusu that they can see, but also from FUTU moomoo that they will see that maybe this is something that is very familiar to them, that they have seen somewhere. So generally, I personally feel this will be all good free educations, and surely I totally agree there will be more upcoming ESG funds. ESG is so big, and there's so many things that we can cover, and there's so many things that so many funds can cover. So I believe everybody have their own part to play, and surely FUTU moomoo will be there to support everybody to our utmost best. Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin. I think it's also important to share that. Really appreciate that you guys are sharing sort of the different things that you guys are doing. I think for FundedHere also, we also appeal, and we have a lot of retail investors as well. I think the whole idea is that people can invest into a startup, and own shares for as little as $5,000, and the relationship is very RM-like. So we share teasers, due diligence, the whole thing lah. And I think for us, we wanted to also focus a little bit on the education piece. I think that's why we are having this chat with Gavin, with Piju, with Megan, is to really also share with our retail investors sort of what's up and coming, right? So we launched FundedHere Academy about 2-3 months ago, and we've been doing sort of webinars on ESOPs, VC investing, now on ESG. We're doing one on mental health next week. We're also doing a founders chat with just other founders in this space, talking about blockchain. So there's really a lot to talk about. Just to wrap up very quickly, because I know we're running out of time, there was a very interesting question that appeared in the Q&A from a guy called David. So he said, thank you for the insights, to write off that greenwashing question. Will moomoo or UOB refuse to list or limit access to funds or stocks which demonstrate negative track records in terms of ESG, so oil, natural gas, or companies that have historically established a track record of greenwashing? Contentious question, but I think also very interesting. Viju, Gavin, any of you would like to answer that?
Okay, let me start. So yes, I would say that in UOB-AM, our framework is not to just exclude, because we find that doing sustainable investing is not just, oh, you are in this sector, no, I'm not going to invest in you. I think we need to move a step further. We need to really look at the company. In Asia, we know that we are just beginning on this sustainability investment, or rather sustainability focused kind of journey. So we need to give time to the companies, especially the Asian companies. Because, for example, if you look at the whole Asian credit, Indonesian companies, there are plenty in the coal space. Are we going to just exclude everyone from it? To UOB-AM, we think that the right thing to do is no. But definitely, we do not want to be involved in companies which are not changing. Companies has to change their business model to move towards that sustainability goals. And they have to set that goals there. So it's really a very much on, we have to speak with the company, we have to educate the company, we have to tell them. So there will be like engagement with the companies that's very important that we will actually carry out. And it's also in this set of company whereby it brings, in terms of investment, it brings value. Because we see the value there. If the companies are able to transit itself successfully into a more sustainable company, definitely the value would grow manifold. So again, not only on the sustainability side, we will gain on the purpose, we will also gain on the profit. So for UOB-AM, we think that is very, very important. You really need to take a step further and really look at the company and work with the company. Yeah, thank you.
That's great. I think that's a very that's a great answer. Because also not to exclude, but to really look at it as a more long-term thing, right? To work with them to improve their own sort of Gavin, I know that you I know that we're running out of time, so maybe I'll let you answer that question very quickly, but also maybe you can also include your closing statement, and then I'll let the rest of the speakers also share just quick 15-second closing statements, and then we'll end for today. Gavin, you're on mute.
Can you hear me? Yeah, apology. Yeah, okay. Yes, I'll go a little bit faster. Because like what Rebecca had shared, we don't have enough time. Generally, with regards to that previous questions, a lot of things I use the word depends. It will depends. We do have we have a few departments that is actually handling in terms of onboarding, in terms of all the different funds. But of course, if you're talking about, if there's any greenwashing, and I will use the word depends. Is there a change in management? Is there a change in terms of company direction? So a lot of things depends. And of course, for us, FUTU, moomoo is always there to bring quality products to all clients. And surely we want to work with as many companies or even asset management, as many as possible. And hopefully I'll answer this question. And surely just my closing statements over here is looking ahead, Gen Z and Millennial will surely forms the backbone of the upcoming trading community for the whole of Southeast Asia. And surely FUTU moomoo on our side, as a headquarter for Southeast Asia, we want and we will surely do more, and we will bring more enhancement and allow clients to actually embrace technology. And for us, surely we want to accompany all clients in their investment journey, regardless of whether it's short term or long term. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Kevin. Megan, would you like to just share a quick closing statement?
Yeah, sure. I think very simply, knowledge is power, and with that, information and data is power as well. So I think we need the ability to be able to report accurately and transparency on financial and non-financial performance indicators as well, in order for investors to make credible, in order for them to make good decisions on investments as well. So we're depending on the financial services industry to do that for us.
Thanks a lot, Megan. Huiju, how about you? Just a quick closing statement.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Beck. I think with sustainable investing being mainstream now, I think many clients are now looking beyond profits into purpose. They want to make that specific positive impact. So I think hopefully UOBM will actually comes and help. We will actually together make that positive impact, going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a great way to close the session. Really appreciate all of you participants for joining us today, and also speakers. Thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate the sharing and the candid sort of openness as well. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, and we will see you guys very soon at our next event. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.